So, one of the things that helped me the most with CPTSD symptoms and issues was creating healthy boundaries. But the way that we created them in healthy boundaries for kind people was very different than most of the mainstream meme advice on Instagram and on the interwebs. And I found it so refreshing and so helpful because there was so much metaphor involved and so much writing your own story, even to the point that I started writing my own stories about my situation that really seemed to help a lot. And I encourage you to do the same if you'd like to. This was also after years of different therapies and things like that. So I'm not telling you to go write metaphorical stories about your situation right away, though you absolutely can. I'm just sharing what was helpful for me. And I have one of my stories right here that was really helpful, and maybe you can relate to it. Growing up, it felt like I was asking for a cheeseburger in a vegan restaurant. It also felt like it wasn't clear that I was in a vegan restaurant. Then, when I would ask for the cheeseburger, I would get treated like, how dare I ask for a cheeseburger at a vegan restaurant? And they would act like my request was so offensive. But if they would have just told me what was on the menu in the first place, I would have tried to order something from there. When I would ask what was on the menu, they would say, I should just know. The restaurant would change a lot. It would go from vegan to barbecue to pizza, but I never knew what restaurant I was going to be stepping into. And one of the things also with creating healthy boundaries is your value. It's your values in action. So one of my values is humor, and I just think that story is actually really funny. Like I could see it as a Seinfeld episode where um, there's this restaurant and nobody knows what the chef is making. They don't know like what kind of place they're stepping into, and they go up to the counter and they order, and like if they don't order what's on the menu, they don't get it, and they don't eat anything and get kind of kicked out of the restaurant. But if they order like what the chef is cooking, then they can get a meal. And I just feel like it's so similar to like growing up, sometimes there would be really great times and like everything would be cool and fine. And then oftentimes there were really not great times and things were very not fine. And you just like didn't know what was going on or why things were happening like that. And it was just emotionally not safe or consistent. So I think for me, just seeing it as a funny story helped me to get a new perspective on the situation. Um, if that's not for you, it's not for you, right? So that's the other thing about creating healthy boundaries, especially when it comes to your body and exercise. If something is not for you, it's not for you. You don't have to make it for you. You don't have to like stuff yourself into molds that don't fit you. So if you have been trying to get into a fitness routine and it's just not working for you and you're like getting upset and frustrated, the first thing I would do is write down your values, like 6 values. And I would say, okay, I see one of your values is fun. What would it look like to exercise and that be fun? You are the author of your story. You can do exercise, any exercise you want, no matter what any fitness or whoever influencer says. It's your body, it's your life. You only get one, so might as well have some fun and do what you want. Of course, within reason, I'm not suggesting that you do things that hurt yourself or put yourself in harm's way. That's very different than forcing yourself to do a routine that you hate and you don't need to do. Um, because you don't feel like you can go belly dancing or something like that because you can't have fun with your body. So I'm not saying hurting yourself or doing anything super extreme where you're putting yourself in harm's way, but if you want to go belly dancing, go for it if it sounds fun to you, or horseback riding or climbing or whatever. You do not need to torture yourself with exercise. You get to decide what you want to do and what it looks like for you. Sometimes you may have an issue or chronic ailment or whatever where you can't do the full thing that you want to do, but can you do it in a smaller way, like in a regressed way, in some way? Can you play music that you like while you're doing some exercises that you have to do that are good for your condition or your body that you maybe don't want to do or don't like doing? Can you reframe that the exercises are maybe showing respect to your body, and you're valuing, if you value respect, if you value kindness, if you value love, could these exercises be a form of one of those things, showing your body love or respect or kindness? It's really a lot in how we're viewing things and our perspective. And when you have CPTSD symptoms, a lot of times you're so used to looking at it from someone else's perspective that you forget that you can look at it from your perspective and what you want and what your values are. So I encourage you to write down like maybe 6 values, and if that seems like too much, maybe just use respect, because that is something that you may not have been shown. And respect is not obedience and just following rules. Respect is not something that you need to earn to show yourself. You can just be respectful of yourself. What would that feel like? What would that look like? And I think it can be really fun to do that and life-changing, and it can make a huge difference in how you show up for yourself when you're exercising and the exercises that you do choose to do or not do. So let me know if you have any questions about that, and please, please, please try your best to live in line with your values and what feels good and right to you.